Hey y'all, I'm glad y'all could join me tonight. I'm sorry it was late. My kids came up to me, needed something, and then my husband needed something, and then that snowballed and I was late. So tonight we're going to be discussing some somewhat ridiculous conspiracy theories, but um because I love conspiracy theories. I think they're so much fun. Well, I mean, the ones that aren't super dangerous anyway. But first, I kind of want to talk about what a conspiracy theory is because a lot of people use the term conspiracy and conspiracy theory interchangeably, but they're not the same thing. Like a conspiracy is a conspiracy theory that's like been proven to exist, right? So let's see. I'm not really a subscriber to most conspiracy theories, because most of them can be debunked with like the most basic of research, like 10 seconds of Googling, and you can usually debunk most conspiracy theories. But I do enjoy reading about them. We have a world population of about 8 billion people. I mean, we're bound to have theories of all sorts to explain things that we can't figure out ourselves. And with the growing unease and distrust of the world governments, it's sort of understandable that people would start piecing together clues of what they think is going on in an effort to make sense of the world around them so that they can like give themselves a bit of control when everything else seems beyond their control, if that makes sense. So, we're going to talk about four conspiracy theories today. We're going to talk about the flat Earth, which I'm sure most of y'all have already heard of. We're going to talk about the conspiracy theory that Finland doesn't exist. Also, some sovereign citizen conspiracy theories, and then probably my favorite conspiracy theory of all time: the thought that Rome, like the Roman Empire, never existed. I love that conspiracy theory. I can't wait to talk about it. But first, let's say hi to anyone who said hello. So Val's here. Hi, Val. And I see Amanda. Hello, Amanda. All right. It's a slow night tonight, y'all, I think like there's like a sleepy energy to everything today. So I imagine a lot of people are chilling somewhere. So first, let's talk about what a conspiracy theory is. Let me share my screen. So according to, and I once I'm done with the stream, I will put all of the links that I've used today in the comments. But according to Very Well Mind, a conspiracy theory is defined as a theory that rejects the standard explanation for an event and instead credits a covert group or organization with carrying out a secret plot. So this article is really cool. It says that social scientists have come to a consensus about what exactly constitutes a conspiracy theory. A look at the key elements of a conspiracy theory helps shed light on why the era of social media, increased news consumption, and the confusion that came along with the COVID-19 pandemic created the perfect environment for conspiracies to emerge. So, conspiracy theories involve the idea of powerful groups of people taking secretive actions that are hidden from public scrutiny. This inherently means that they would be incredibly difficult to disprove. A conspiracy theorist is likely to believe that anyone who tries to debunk their theory is in on it and part of the conspiracy theory themselves. And you'll see, like when we talk, especially about flat Earth and the sovereign citizen ones, you'll see how that definitely is accurate. A psychology of the a study of the psychology of conspiracy theories broke them down into five major elements: an assumption of how people and events are causally interconnected or form some pattern, their conspirators are intentional in their actions, a group of dishonest bad actors are working in conjunction towards a goal, there is a threat of harm to others from the conspirators, and the conspirators act in secrecy, which explains why there is often sparse evidence and also makes them hard to disprove. So, um, I wanted to say, like the this part about how conspiracy theories spread. There isn't really evidence, according to Very Well Mind, that there are currently more conspiracy theories in comparison to other time periods like today. There's just a much better idea and more efficient means of amplifying any given conspiracy. Any idea, regardless of how baseless, can now travel at the speed of Wi-Fi, which is why it probably feels like there's more conspiracy theories out there, but there probably aren't. I mean, everyone has at least believes in one conspiracy theory, right? One survey found that almost 70% of people across the globe had ramped up their news consumption in an effort to learn more about the coronavirus. Understandably, consumed with trying to figure out how this virus could impact their health, their families, and their businesses. This, along with the taxed healthcare system, unrelenting anxiety, and innumerable unanswered questions, created fertile soil for what the World Health Organization called a massive infodemic. This term was meant to describe the fact that much of the news consumed was false and or politically motivated. So, who is most likely to believe in conspiracy theories? Those who feel ostracized or lack a sense of belonging are more likely to believe in conspiracies. Those who feel that they are of a status that is threatened or who have a lower income are also prone to conspiracies, according to this article. So, while the term conspiracy theory has a generally negative connotation, there are several theories that have come to be known as a well established fact or event. So, that said, like, not every conspiracy theory is just hokum, right? There are some conspiracy theories that ended up being correct. For instance, the Tuskegee syphilis experiments, in which black men were given syphilis and were told they would receive treatment. They did not. The goal of the study was to observe the effects on syphilis on the human body, but informed consent was never given, and many black men died. And until because this happened, I think in the early 1930s or the 1940s, and then it wasn't until 1972 that it was proven to be true that these men were being used by an organization in secret to further an agenda. So that's one. Another very recent example of a conspiracy theory that turned out to be a legit conspiracy is the Britney Spears situation. The hashtag Free Britney movement started out as just another wonky conspiracy theory, but in the end, it opened up a whole dialogue worldwide about conservatorships and the ethics of legally revoking a person's autonomy. So I want to show you all something really cool. This chart was created by a lady named Abby Richards, and see, it's gonna load. She's amazing, and I'm gonna link her TikTok below. She talks about disinformation, conspiracy theories, and that kind of thing. And she created this really cool chart, and it's kind of funny that you know it feels like I'm talking about anti-MLM stuff, but I'm not. But there's like a pyramid for conspiracy theory. Anyway, it's cute. So the here's where a person's like theories or whatever are grounded in reality, and then as you go up the pyramid, you're detached from reality. Um, you have things that actually happened, with like MK Ultra, hashtag Free Britney, Operation Paperclip. That is one of those that not many people actually know about unless you're like a history buff. But Operation Paperclip is where we brought a whole bunch of Nazi scientists over to America to help further our, you know, our scientific standing on the world stage. Anyway, Watergate was another conspiracy theory turned true. Big oil pushing climate disinformation, NSA mass surveillance, big tobacco lying about cancer, COINTELPRO. All of these turned out, these are things that actually happened. These are actual conspiracies. These are not conspiracy theories. And then you have the speculation line where we go into an area where we have questions. You know, we have the Denver International Airport. While maybe it's not actually an Illuminati thing, we do have questions about it, you know? The JFK assassination, everyone has their questions about that. Area 51 is, and I'm going to say this right now as a person who lives in Roswell, New Mexico, Area 51 is nowhere near Roswell. I always get asked, oh, have you ever been to Area 51? No, because it's in Nevada. And also, we have questions about Area 51, but like largely those questions have been answered. Area 51 was a flight testing site. So they ran experimental like aircraft and stuff out of there. It's nothing like scary and had nothing to do with aliens. Amanda says, I'd never heard of Operation Paperclip. Oh man, Operation Paperclip is one of those ones that I bring up like so much. Okay, everyone's heard of Okay, so Operation Paperclip was a secret United States intelligence program in which more than 1,600 Nazi German scientists, engineers, and technicians were taken from former Nazi Germany and brought here. One of the most famous ones that came here actually helped us get to space. I think his name was Werner von Braun. Yeah. Werner von Braun is one of the dudes who helped us get to space with the Apollo program. And he was a Nazi. We brought him over here from Germany, and he was like a card carrying Nazi. There's several other, let's see. I always like I remember them until I have to try and remember them. Famous Operation Paperclip. Uh, I'll see if I can. I might do a whole video on that if anyone's interested because it's really cool. I mean, it's not cool. Obviously, it's horrible. It's like super bad. But um, yeah, there were a lot of people from Nazi and something else. Uh, it's it's very very. It literally could have gone either way, whether or not America fought for Germany or against Germany. It's one of those things where uh, Hitler modeled part of his approach towards the people that he wanted to kill. He modeled it partially after the United States. He admired the United States approach to Native Americans, and that's awful. Anyway, there's a whole I could talk about World War II forever, and I could talk about the whole Nazi thing for forever. Anyway, so we have questions. We have questions about Area 51. We have questions about UFOs. Um, and I might do a whole video on that too because I live in Roswell, so there's a lot of whoo here about it. But 1 second. And then, the Jimmy Hoffa disappearance. We have questions about it. There's theories, and then these are theories that Epstein didn't kill himself. That's one that everyone pretty much knows about, and it's just we want to know more. We want more information. That'd be nice. But then we have the line where we're leaving reality. And these are theories that are unequivocally false, but mostly harmless. Stevie Wonder not being blind, that's a weird one. I don't understand why people, Greta Thunberg is a time traveler. I like that one because it's funny. I like the idea that she's a time traveler, come back to like save us from ourselves, but she's not, obviously. Avril Lavigne being replaced. Listen, y'all. Oh my gosh. So when I was that theory started around like 2012, and the theory that Avril Lavigne died and was replaced by her assistant Michelle. It is so weird, and people like talk about that like it's fact, but it's totally not. Ooh, you started. You haven't missed anything too juicy yet. Nope, nope. I'm just going through the conspiracy chart, which is one of my favorite things. It's so cool. So cryptids is another thing. Cryptids like Bigfoot, skinwalkers, Wendigo, stuff like that. Mothra, cryptids are, they don't exist, but believing in them is mostly false. It's fine. Kylie Jenner being a clone, the Titanic never sank, Tupac alive in Serbia. Yeah, no. And what's really cool about this chart is you can just click on it and it'll take you to a link about that conspiracy theory. And then once we reach the point of reality denial. This is dangerous. These are ones that are dangerous to yourself and to others. COVID being a bioweapon. I have a feeling because of evidence that's coming out right like lately, I have a feeling the COVID as a bioweapon one is going to move down to being closer to reality. Because they found out, I think that it is being, I don't know, I saw a CNN article about it maybe being created in a lab, but I don't know. Jet fuel doesn't melt steel beams. That's about 9/11. And like this one, I don't know that it should be here. I think it should be down here where we have questions because there are a lot of questions about 9/11. Plandemic, that's a huge one. Wayfair trafficking, that one was harmful. And if y'all don't remember the Wayfair tracking conspiracy theory, basically there were like these like drawers and cabinets that were like $15,000 on the Wayfair website. And so people assume, like some idiot was like, "Oh, they're definitely selling kids. That's what that is. They're selling children on the website." And it's not true. Wayfair does bad things. Like they gave all of the detention centers down at the border, they gave them a whole bunch of the furniture that they got, like sold it to them. Whenever they were, I think that we still have kids and families locked up down here at the border. So Wayfair does terrible things, but they're definitely not trafficking kids. I hate to say the Wayfair one got it. What it got me too because like the thing about good conspiracy theories is that they are rooted in something real, something that everyone is afraid of. And no one wants to think about kids getting trafficked, right? And so like it's weird that it was a $15,000 cabinet, and then the whole thing about Wayfair helping with the detention centers at the border, like everyone was poised to believe that they would do something awful like that. So a lot of people fell for that. The Wayfair one was weird. It was so weird. I thought from the get go we know it started creating the lab, but got out soon or have it. So that's the thing. It's like originally that's what people were saying. And then people were saying that no, that's just a hokey conspiracy theory. And then now there's articles saying that this strain of COVID was created in a lab. What's undetermined, I guess, is whether or not it's like a bioweapon. I have no idea. Yeah, there were a lot of people who really thought that that was real because I don't know, it's plausible. It just seems so weird. Another dangerous to ourselves and others is the whole Antifa did January 6th. Antifa had nothing to do with the January 6th insurrection. The RFID tracking devices and bras. That's not real. None of these things here are like real. But then we get to the anti-Semitic point of no return. The world ruled by supreme shadow elite promotes hatred and violence towards marginalized groups. We've reached the point where we're like detached from reality. QAnon is another one. The deep state thing, flat Earth. That's no lizard people. That is completely an anti-Semitic. Yeah, I don't even understand that one because like why? Why would they do that? You don't. Everyone has a phone. If you really want to track people, use their smartphone. I don't even know. The New World Order stuff. And if y'all remember, Trump used to talk about QAnon, Deep State, and the New World Order like a lot. Like Trump was deep into this sort of. Some of these are kind of fun. Like not that one. That one was awful. Which one was it that was? This one, the reptilian overlords thing, I used to think was kind of fun and funny until I found out that it was just anti-Semitism in lizard form, and then I felt bad for thinking it was funny. Uh, the Bill Gates depopulation thing, I don't even understand that one. There's a lot of stuff behind the Rothschilds. So the Rothschild central bank thing is kind of, I can understand why people like have concerns about the Rothschilds, but again, this is just anti-Semitism cloaked in an enigma, wrapped in a mystery type stuff. So I love the conspiracy chart. I'm going to link it whenever I get the links in the bottom. Oh, wait. I liked Flat Earth until I realized there's no way the stars would move the way they did. That was the deal breaker. Yeah, that was, and like, I'm not gonna lie, when I found and I'll talk about it more in a minute, but like when I found out about Flat Earth, I was so like intrigued that people would like believe this, and so I went down the rabbit hole and man, they almost got me. They almost got me. That was back in like 2013, I think. It was a while ago. So I'm also going to link Abby Richards' TikTok and an article that they was written about her because she's very very anti disinformation, very pro talking about all of this stuff to you know sort of, because if the more you talk about these things that are causing disinformation, the more educated people get. I think is her like whole thing, and so she talks about it a lot. And it's really cool. So I think that it's healthy to be skeptical, to ask questions, to question the validity of what our government tells us. That's all perfectly normal. But the issue begins when people disregard reality entirely in an effort to prove their own theories correct, or when proponents of a conspiracy theory use fear, lies, and propaganda as a method of manipulation or control. That said, all of the theories I'm discussing today have been proven to be false for a variety of reasons. These theories do not pass muster, and a couple of them are just outright dangerous. Disinformation is a dangerous concept in general, and to better fight against it, I do think it's important to talk about. Something else I want to talk about and for y'all to think about before I get into it too much further is Occam's razor. So Occam's razor is a rule that basically says that when you're presented with two solutions, the simpler one is more likely to be the correct solution. It's not always the correct one, but generally you can safely say the simpler option is the best one. A common theme with the theories we're talking about today is the mental gymnastics required to believe any of these are true. Put plainly, these theories all rely way too much on supposition, faulty data, and labyrinthian logic to be properly believed. Let's see. I agree the reptilian stuff is a basis in like theology stuff, which is so anti-Semitic, but I also think it's kind of white swans, blue eyes that would be more likely. Seems like scapegoating. Yeah, it's all like I don't know too much about because I like when I figured out that it was anti-Semitic, I'm like, I'm gonna detach entirely from that. It's awful. So I actually don't know what people are saying now about the reptilian overlord stuff, but yeah, it's all wild. So 1 second. Sorry about that. I needed water. Okay. So the first theory I want to look at is, as I mentioned, the flat earth stuff. I was going to find a flat earther video to react to with this one, but I decided against it because there's too much to sort through. And usually the flat earthers on YouTube are all kind of racist and they're not very fun to watch because it's really ugh. So I am instead we're going to look at the Flat Earth Society's website. And the thing about the Flat Earth Society is I used to come to their forums back in like 2013 when I found out they exist. Like if I was having a bad day, I'd go to their forums, read their nonsense, and die laughing because it's all just so ridiculous. But like they have like a Q&A where that like people will ask questions and then people within the Flat Earth Society will answer these questions. And so basically it's just like kind of a circle jerk of ridiculousness. But I wanted specifically to look at their oh, and I lost it. Where did it go? Oh, the FAQ. Oh, 1 second. There's a tiny human at my door. The youngest wanted to play Minecraft and thought she had to ask permission. That was funny. Okay, so my favorite part of this is the art. Summer, can you stop? My dog's freaking out. Are you serious? Yes. Are you controlled opposition? No. Controlled opposition is let me pull it up, but basically it's when it's like basically government a protest movement that is actually being led by government agents. So, are you controlled opposition? No. Is flat earth connected to any religion? Um they say no, but there's a lot of yeah. However, it would be impossible to deny the strong historical ties with Christianity by past presidents of the society. What is some evidence you have? There are several readily apparent proofs of the planet's flatness. The horizon always rises to meet eye level, which is impossible on a ball Earth. The surfaces of bodies of water have been shown to be level. If the Earth was a globe, this would not be the case. Do they? And like the thing that gets me about this one is like, do they think that the Earth is much smaller than it is? Because if you're standing on a surface if we're a sphere, and we're not, the Earth is not a sphere; it's a globe. But if you're standing on the surface of a ball, the bigger the ball is, the flatter your POV is on that ball, right? They're they just I guess they think the Earth is tinier than it is. I love this one. What about pictures from space? There are a plethora of resources available to show us that we can't trust the photographic evidence from organizations such as NASA. Are you controlled opposition? No. Seems like something controlled. Agreed. That is exactly what controlled opposition would say. What about astronauts? Most flat earthers think astronauts have been bribed or coerced into their testimonies. Some believe that they have been fooled or mistaken. So here again is like Occam's razor. Is it more likely that the Earth is just a globe, like we have proven several times throughout the ages, or are hundreds of astronauts over the past several decades being bribed into lying to the public? Hmm. I don't know. Why would people lie about the shape of the Earth? To maintain legitimacy during the Cold War, we faked the moon landing. Shortly after, they realized the reason they could not reach the moon was due to the flatness of the Earth. They were stuck in a lie and had to continue it or lose legitimacy of our governments. Even today, we would still hold on to this lie due to the role science played in our ruling government. Another one, to hide the truth of the Bible. Okay. To gain power and money by siphoning off the space budgets and denying the world the resources of the Antarctic, they gain a considerable amount of power and wealth. Hmm. So this is their idea of what uh, they think a flat Earth looks like. Oh my gosh. As evidenced by the logo of the United Nations. As evidence. So they're using the UN logo as proof? Anyway, the Earth is a round disk of infinite dimensions. The geographic North Pole is located at the center of the disk, and the Antarctic lies around the outer edges. Every time they go with their ice wall theory, all I can think is, you know nothing, Jon Snow. How can one circumnavigate the Earth? Circumnavigation of the Earth is simply traveling in a circular path around the North Pole. They have a whole theory about seasons that goes directly against what we know about why seasons are a thing. Amanda says, also, I love that to answer the question about photos of space, they're just like, there's proof those are fake, and then don't provide links to that proof unless those links are elsewhere. They don't ever. Like, you could go through the whole forum, and all it is them linking other articles they've all written. There is no legitimate proof anywhere that any of those are fake. They just cite themselves constantly. That, that doesn't, that's not proof. um, oh, can't you see the curvature from an airplane? You can. Anyone who's been in a plane knows that once you get to a certain level, of height, you can see the slight curve of the horizon if it's not like super cloudy. But they say no. Even if the Earth was a globe, this would be an impossibility. We have testimonies from several pilots saying that no curvature can be seen at commercial airline heights. It has been suggested that airplane windows serve to distort the view of passengers and make them believe they see curvature when indeed there is none. So this was likely a ploy by early airline companies to sell more tickets. Why? Like, that doesn't even make sense. It's literally, you have to think, like, bend over backwards mentally just to believe any of this crap. That, like, it's just, the earth is round, guys. And this one's my favorite. And we'll talk about this one further in a second because this is another one where they cite one of their own. So, did Eratosthenes not prove the earth was a globe? No, actually, Eratosthenes assumed the earth was a globe to calculate the circumference of the earth. Taoists performed the same experiment much earlier and came to the conclusion that the earth was flat. This was independently conceived much later in the 1800s by followers of Samuel Robotham. I don't know how to pronounce that. Yeah, like why? What is the reason? I don't understand. Hi, Laura. I'm glad you could join us. Oh, and this one's fun too. What about ISS and satellites? While one can see satellites in the sky at night, it is generally agreed upon that they are not actual satellites but pseudolights or stratolights put there to fool us. My favorite thing about all of these conspiracies and all of the huge proponents of it is they always say it is generally agreed upon. But like, by who? Just y'all. Like, it's generally agreed upon by like three dudes in a basement somewhere, like shotgunning Red Bulls. Like, there's no real proof. It's just them all, you know. And I love this. Gravity is, as a theory, is false. Objects simply fall. Why do they fall? Oh, in the flat Earth community, there are several theories as to why this happens. Some attempt to explain this with the use of mechanics like electromagnetism, density, or pressure, all of which factor into gravity, by the way. Anyway, others make use of traditional mathematics, such as the infinite plane model, and others look at the new problems, such as the non Euclidean model, which I haven't looked into. But, you know, all of this to say what is certain is a sphere Earth gravity is not tenable in any way, shape, or form. Whew, they're fun. Okay, so back to this. They have this whole like ridiculous theory. This is their Facebook page, the Flat Earth Society. And back in 2016, they said, "Sorry, Carl Sagan, Taoists actually performed the same experiment centuries earlier with a different set of assumptions to show how far the heavens were from a flat Earth. This proves nothing but instead assumes a round Earth to calculate its diameter, just as Taoists assumed a flat Earth to calculate the distance to the stars. Basic trigonometry, supposedly." So they quote because they think that because Eratosthenes, in case y'all didn't know, he's the guy who basically measured the Earth and determined that it is globular, like it's a circle. It's not, or it's spherical. It's not flat. And they say that a long, long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, that let me pull it up because I had it right here. Yeah, okay. Sorry, I had scripted it and then I just went off script entirely just now. I'm curious, Amanda says, I'm curious why they think scientists and governments would lie about the Earth being round. Like, what sparked this, and what do they think everyone is gaining from the dying as Earth is flat? So there's a whole, let me pull it up because there's like this history of the flat. Oh, I closed it. But there's a history of the flat Earth, and basically there's this guy in like the 1800s who I keep typing flat Earth. That's very not what I'm trying to type. Where'd that? Oh, there it is. So let's see. I forgot about Bob and his Twitter post about Earth being flat. Anyway, people have known that the Earth is round since at least the 6th century BCE. This is before the Common Era. So many were surprised to hear the flat Earth concept still kicked around, but this wasn't the first resurgence of the idea. Back in the 1970s and 80s, a man named Charles Kenneth Johnson became a minor celebrity for his refusal to believe that the Earth is round. Johnson's good friend Samuel Shenton founded a small fringe group dubbed the Flat Earth Society in the 1950s. In 1972, Johnson became the president of the society after Shenton's death, transforming the group from a small collection of conspiracy theorists into an organization with thousands of members. He made waves in the national media and became known for cheerfully insisting the rest of the world was being duped by scientists. Douglas Martin wrote in Johnson's obituary for the New York Times. Basically, he gives his whole spiel about, Earth not being flat. But like, oh, maybe this is the wrong article. There was an article I'd read where it explains why they think that we're being lied to and like why people keep up with the lie. But let's see if I can find it. Why? Oh, maybe it's here. Oh, well, yeah, I guess they sort of answered it, but that doesn't answer it. Oh, hold on. Oh, you're good. I lose track of where I'm at, so it's totally not you. Val says, I just walked back in, but the idea I liked about flat Earth under the firmament was the idea of the outer world being the land of lore from the myths. Yeah, and it sounds cool, and it sounds like fantastical, and it sounds like it'd be fun, and like the idea of, because a lot of them also believe in like an ice wall, and like the idea of the beyond past that is pretty cool. But they're wrong, sadly. So, to answer Amanda's question, they think that people are lying about the shape of the Earth to maintain legitimacy because of the moon landing, or to hide the truth of the Bible, because that makes sense, or to gain power and money with the space budgets. Which, if you're a Christian, it makes sense that you would believe that they want to hide the truth of the Bible, because a lot of like hardcore Christians who are heavily into the culty side of Christianity believe that, the world would be better off if everyone was Christian, and there's a satanic, overlord trying to keep us all from being Christian or whatever. It's the devil. The devil did it. And then the idea that we faked the moon landing is just ridiculous. But a lot of people believe it. Okay, and then I was talking about this. So Eratosthenes is the guy who measured the Earth and determined that it's a sphere, but the cult of Pythagoras had sort of determined it way before then. So honestly, that information and that date is like up in the air. But either way, flat earthers continually cite this paper by another flat earther who pretty much spends the whole paper arguing with dead Greek dudes about whether the earth is flat or spherical. I didn't read all of it, but I did link it below if you want to read it, or I will link it below when I'm done. The article is called A Chinese Eratosthenes of the Flat Earth, a study of a fragment of cosmology. And it focuses on the Taoist experiments. So this is one of those conspiracy theories that seems kind of harmless, but they rely a lot on like culty rhetoric and cult like tactics to spread their message. We know that beyond a reasonable doubt that the earth is a globe. We have evidence, photographical, on film, and yet one of their chief arguments is that we must deny what we can see with our own eyes. I could literally go on and on and on about flat earthers, and I will if y'all want in a separate video, but I just wanted to illustrate the mental gymnastics that these people like employ on the regular. Like you literally, to believe in flat earth, you have to deny reality. You cannot believe it. You have to deny evidence you can see with your own eyes. You have to basically detach from the real world just to make it make sense. So, this next conspiracy theory, this one's funny. This one's just silly. Um, there's a conspiracy theory that Finland doesn't exist. It just doesn't exist. And it all started because of a Reddit thread, of all things. Some guy posted this. Basically, his parents taught him to believe that Finland doesn't exist. And because of that, like, supposedly, and I'll just read this to you because it says the Finland conspiracy states that Finland is not a real country. Not only is it not a real country, but there is actually no landmass there at all, and the space between Sweden and Russia is actually empty ocean. The guy goes on to say, now I realize this notion seems ridiculous, but that is why a conspiracy works and why people are afraid to speak out against the existence of Finland. So I would ask you to approach the evidence I put forward here with an open mind. Finland was first created sometime during the Cold War between Russia and the West. It was also around this time that environmentalism and the idea of preserving our planet was really taking off. And it is due to both of those things that the two of the main players in the Finland conspiracy came to work closely with each other, Russia and Japan. Japan-Soviet relations had always been shaky at best, but also incredibly secretive. Even as early as 1925, Japan and the Soviet Union had secret deals with each other regarding fishing rights between the two countries, with the Soviet Union giving up much of its fishing rights to Japan with seemingly no explanation as to why. The secretive treaties and alliances continued right up until just before the fall of the Soviet Union. Gorbachev made trips to Japan months before the fall of the Soviet Union, stating the entire time how the relations between them were improving, even when Soviet relations with the rest of the world were worsening. Basically, they're taking bits of history, like things that happened, like a peace treaty with Russia in 1941, et cetera, and like making it so that Finland doesn't really exist. They made it up so that Russia would have fishing ground and Japan could have its fishing ground on the other side of Russia. It's a fishing rights thing, apparently. So Finland doesn't exist because of fish. Um, it's unclear when Finland was first thought up. Some say it was during the Cold War. And like the thing is about this is like it's completely bogus. There are, because like, let's see, Finland was let's see, uh, when was Finland created? Yeah, 1917 is when it officially declared independence from Russia. So this is like, that was 10 seconds of Googling, but okay. Anyway, you can look on a satellite and see that Finland is there, right? You know that it's not an ocean. So this is just one of those, you know, silly ones. It doesn't really cause anybody any harm. but it's also just completely ridiculous. Oh, and everyone in Finland who thinks that they're in Finland is actually just in Sweden. That's where they live. Amanda says the Finland doesn't exist thing is so random. It really is. And it's just because this poor kid who was raised to believe that Finland doesn't exist. And then he posted it to Reddit. And now there's a whole subreddit about the Finland conspiracy. It's just silliness. So, next we're talking about one that is actually pretty dangerous. Overall, this probably causes more harm than any other conspiracy that I have ever talked about or will ever talk about. Um, I've talked about sovereign citizens on my channel before. And so this is more like a web of conspiracy theories embedded in a subculture within the United States called sovereign citizens. I just wanted to touch on this theory that they have, the theory that is essentially the backbone of their belief system, which is that the United States doesn't really exist, and not the United, like the U.S. government was replaced, and so all of the laws that we're following aren't real laws. And I'm going to play this video for y'all, and you can see what I'm talking about, but it's his wonky. Okay, so I did talk about it before in a video, and this is what I had to say during that video, and I will link it below if y'all want to go watch it. But in the United States, soft sits disregard all federal laws and most state laws as illegitimate. They will cite old documents like the Magna Carta or the Articles of Confederation and claim that those laws are legitimate while laws they made today are not. Why do they do this, you might ask? Excuse me. Well, the Southern Poverty Law Center gives us one possible answer. The contemporary sovereign belief system is based on a decades-old conspiracy theory. Sovereigns believe that the American government, set up by the founding fathers under a common law legal system, was secretly replaced. They think that the replacement government swapped common law for admiralty law, which is the law of the sea and international commerce. You'll often hear sophsts declare that judges hold no power over the people because they operate under quote unquote maritime law, which is quite simply ridiculous. Maritime law governs private businesses on the sea, like it dictates certain things like how to handle an injury legally, like if a fisherman gets injured, stuff like that. In fact, many sophsts consider statutory law to be maritime law and claim they don't have to follow it because they aren't commercially conducting business at sea. The Southern Poverty Law Center goes on further to say some sovereigns believe this perfidious change occurred during the Civil War, while others blame the events of 1933, which is when they switched from the gold standard to what we have now regarding currency. When the U.S. abandoned the gold standard. Either way, they stake their lives and livelihoods on the idea that the U.S. judges and lawyers, who they believe are foreign agents, know about this hidden government takeover but argue against it, denying the sovereign's motions and filings out of treasonous loyalty to the hidden and malevolent government forces. So that's all based on my research from before, but I did find this video of a sophist explaining this theory in more depth, I guess. Is depth the right word? Oddly, this is the most coherent video I could find on the subject, and it doesn't make their beliefs any clearer. In fact, it kind of raises more questions. This is a man, this is, I can't remember his name, Jordan Maxwell. Sovereign citizens love this guy. And here he is explaining admiralty law to this other guy, who I don't know who is, but it's just a little bit bonkers. So I'm going to let this play. And y'all can see, you'll understand.
This is why all ships are female. By law, all ships, rocket ships, sailing ships, air ship, it doesn't matter. If it's a ship, it's female. Right. Because the captain always refers to his ship as she. Right. She's a good ship, or she's done this. Why she? Because she delivers the product. Right. Without she, there is no product, right? It's a vessel. Of course it is a vessel. So is your body. It's a vessel that produces a product. Right. So when the ship pulls into harbor, it stops, and where it parks is called its berth. It's berthing a ship, or she sits in her berth. And every item on that ship, coming off that ship, is money. It's money changing hands. It came in on water. So it's called, so every piece has to have what is called a certificate of manifest, because she is sitting in her berth. That's why when you were born, your mother's water broke. You were in
I shit you not, like holy misogyny, Batman. But also, Literally, in case you got lost in the guy's nasally awful voice, because a ship is a vessel, right? And it docks in a berth, right? When a woman gives birth, so like a ship docks and their product exits the ship, and it gets a certificate of manifest, basically saying, this is how much product was on the ship, this is what's coming here into port, this is what's staying on the ship, stuff like that. And then a woman, she gives birth, and then when a child exits the mother's waters, I shit you not, exits a mother's waters in birth, they get a birth certificate, meaning the government has determined them to be property. I can't make this shit up. I cannot believe this is a thing that people believe. But like I mentioned, Amanda has the exact same reaction when I first saw this. I was like, "Are you serious? Like this is a thing that you believe right now?" Okay, and like I I had like a vague understanding of what sovereign citizens believed because it's all steeped in racism and white supremacy. But like this really takes it to like the next level of crazy. And when I found this video, I didn't watch past this point. I have no idea what he's about to say next. So buckle up, I guess.
You went inside a container of water. So water broke and you came out, and therefore you have to have a birth certificate. There, and it's got to be signed by the doctor.
I do want to say birth is in where a ship goes is BERTH, not BIRTH, like birth. You know what I mean? Okay, carrying on.
So that's what the ship is sitting. It's the doctor where the ship sits. So once you begin to see how the words and terms are all based on maritime admiralty, the law of water, the cash flow, the liquid asset. You're what?
In English, the dock, the water.
Yeah, of course. But of course, it goes all the way back to the English or British domination of the seas. And so when the British began to dominate the seas, the Knights Templar Masonic Order of the Knights Templars, who had
Of course, we're bringing in the Knights Templar. Everybody who is a conspiracy theorist in any form always brings up the. Yeah, that's like weird. Let me put it like way loud. Hold on. Tell me if it's too loud now.
been in the middle of Asia, came back into Western Eastern Europe, brought all of these concepts, and it was developed into a commercial system of words and terms and symbols which are used in courts and government, corporations. Your body as a corporation. No, that's a whole story. We could talk for hours on this, but your body as a corporation.
Of cells, you mean?
No. It's called, by law, your body, your physical body is a corporation. And so when you die, you're a corpse because when you're living, you're a corporation. You are a business, and hanging out with that person is bad business.
Right.
Or who I hang out with is none of your business.
Right.
Because your body is a business. And so you say, well, what you're doing with her or him is bad business.
Right.
But of course, if you get mixed,
That doesn't even make sense. You're a corporation. That's why when you die, you're a corpse. Yep. Yep. That's a thing they believe.
married and she's very wealthy, you say she's a good stock, right? Words and terms are based on maritime admiralty, the law of water. And so that's why when you go into a court, you have a fence and a gate. The people sit out here and the judge sits inside. The gate is called a floodgate. When you go through the
Oh my god, he literally thinks just because there's lots of like water words in things like cash flow and floodgate that like that means that everything is operates under admiralty law. That doesn't even make sense. This is the stupidest conspiracy theory.
now you have a floodgate. So when you're sitting out here, you're in the law of the land. The judge has no control or no jurisdiction over the people sitting out here. No jurisdiction whatsoever.
Right.
No, that's outside the gate.
Right.
That's on land. But when you walk past that gate, now you're in hot water, and someone's gonna have to bail you out.
Oh my god.
Okay. No, no, I've just been studying it for 48 years.
Wow.
But it's fascinating because when you understand that there's, I mean, the whole subject is so large and it would take hours to, and I'd have to go back to square one and walk through all the words and terms that use in law and court.
If your conspiracy theory requires hours and hours of explanation, is it like in today's news, area man learns about homonyms? I can't. Oh my god. Hi, Mombi. Glad you could join us. We're watching a video about this man explaining to us. Oh, you missed it. Okay, this guy genuinely believes that because we human beings come out of our mother's waters onto land and receive a birth certificate, that we are the property of the United States government. Because a ship, when it reaches land and its cargo is delivered from the water to the land, it gets a a certificate of manifest. Yep. Also, because when we are corporations, humans are corporations. So I can't even. I can't. I'm just gonna hit play and this man.
and, and commerce for you to understand how pervasive this concept of water is on the earth. The law of water, maritime admiralty, uh, it's an extraordinary story about how governments rule the world. And unless you understand this, you're never going to figure out what's going on. Wait, look at it. When you walk into a courtroom and they call your name, you get up and you put your hand on the gate and you open the gate. The moment you put your hand on the gate, by international law, you of your own volition have opened yourself up to maritime admiralty law because you were in the law of the land. As long as you don't touch that gate and go through it, you haven't opened the floodgate. Now, once you open the floodgate, there's a piece of wood on top of that gate, and it's called the bar, and you're not licensed to pass the bar. So what you've done is you've opened.
I can't. Oh my god. What? This is. What does that even mean? You're. Huh.
In the floodgate, but you weren't licensed to pass the bar. So that means that you are dead. You are now dead. Once you touch that, you are dead.
Because that you're no longer.
This just in. If you try to enter the area where a judge sits, you die. You're dead now. Oh my god.
You're going to continue
That's
that.
right. You are dead. Well, you're considered to be a dead man. That's why the attorney has to speak for you. He has to represent
Why are
you
you dead?
because you went into the deep water and you died. You drowned.
Because you weren't licensed. Because you weren't.
Right. You were not licensed to pass the bar. And the bar represents a sandbar in the ocean. But the bar is what the attorneys are licensed to pass, but you're not. So the point being is that when you open that gate of your own volition, you are considered by law to be a dead man. That's why you cannot talk to the judge because dead people don't talk to judges.
Okay, I've been in many courtrooms in my life, and I've always talked to the judge. And I'm pretty sure I'm not dead. I mean, maybe I'm dead. Oh, I'm glad that y'all don't think my laugh is annoying, because I I had to mute myself earlier because this guy's just so ridiculous. And the problem is, it's like people believe this. Sovereign citizens, this is part of their like core conspiracy nonsense. Your ship once the waters break and you come out of the birth canal. He didn't even use canal. Darn, he missed a trick. I can't. Yeah. It's like this guy, Elizabeth Holmes, Steve Jobs, can't take him seriously. They've ruined turtlenecks for me, like black turtlenecks. Oh boy. And the absolute irony of this channel being called the Knowledge Oasis. No joke. Knowledge oasis. What knowledge am I gaining? And I love the guy who's interviewing him just asking questions like, "Oh, that really? Really? Huh?" Like he's not buying any of this. Also, I walked in and out while you were looking for a guy who really set in motion the flat earth thing. No, it was I'll have to look it up because his name was like Samuel something. The cooler interferes in my. Yeah, I feel that. Okay, let's just finish the last like 20 seconds of this ridiculousness.
So you'll need an attorney who is your mouthpiece. He speaks for you because you're dead.
Well, should we do away with courts so people can
No,
get
no,
their lives
no,
back?
no. I would think that what you want to do is understand how the system works.
Avoid it.
Well, avoid it if you can.
Okay, so a lot of people like a lot of sovereign citizens super duper love Jordan Maxwell. Let's see what else. Oh, he doesn't have anything else in here. That guy's still alive. I saw Jordan Maxwell at a speaking engagement last February. That was a year ago. Wow. Okay, so this guy's a problem. But to recap, humans are corporations, but we're also the property of the government because the birth certificate is a certificate of manifest because women are ships and we unload our cargo onto land. So it's all really funny, right? It's really funny, except the sovereign citizens like get people killed. So they're like the worst of the worst. I hate sovereign citizens. My ex used to be a sovereign citizen. He claims he's not anymore, but let's be honest. So the things that they believe are, oh yeah, we're dead. We're dead and we're ships. And we can't talk to judges, guys. Yeah, he mentioned nothing about men's sperm. I'm beginning to think he just thinks that women are property. Men aren't. Just women. We're vessels for property, obviously. Which, historically, that's how we're treated, so. The irony of him talking about, you know, people being property of the government and like cargo is that the sovereign citizen movement began because of white supremacy and because they wanted to defend their perceived right to own humans as property. But they seem so terrified of the concept that the government owns them as property. I can't even imagine the cognitive dissonance required to maintain that belief set. But I can't really say I'm surprised that the people who defended what they thought was their right to own people are terrified of being owned themselves because they see other people as less than. The only people who matter to a sovereign citizen are themselves. They're like super solipsist about that. Yep, that's the thing with conspiracy theories. They require logical leaps. Like, and this isn't even like a leap. This is literally just completely taking a set of words and redefining them, like moving the goalposts so much that you'd have to have like superhuman strength to make that leap. And another thing that another logical leap and like word magic thing that they do whenever they're driving a car, because sovereign citizens don't believe they have to have driver's licenses. They believe that driver's license, because in Black's Law Dictionary, it says that if you are employed in driving a vehicle, you must have a driver's license. They take it so literally, they think that that means employed as if you are hired to drive that vehicle. And like that's not how that meant. That's not what that means at all. But they do that. They change the meaning of words just to make it fit their narrative. And sovereign citizens are some of the worst about using cult like tactics to get people to believe with them and to get people on their side. It is. Yeah. This guy is leaping over the Grand Canyon. No joke. Did y'all ever, like in like 2013, 2014, there was the guy who tightrope walked across the Grand Canyon. It's like this guy like leapt over that guy. Just went shloop. I hate the sovereign citizen thing because natives are actually sovereign and like it throws me off every time they. Yeah. they're so racist, and like even the ones who don't think that they're racist are being super racist because there are sovereign nations within our country. They're the indigenous sovereign nations that they have their own like governments and everything, and here we have sovereign citizens like basically hijacking a word that actually has meaning to a specific culture. They're awful. They're awful. And the sovereignty is like a whole thing with treaties behind it and shit. Yep. And Val knows what she's talking about here for sure. So that one was a long one, but the last conspiracy theory I want to talk about isn't really widespread yet. This is a baby conspiracy theory, and it's really, really new, and it's my favorite that I've ever come across ever. Right now, we're in the harmless stage of this conspiracy theory, but I think if it gains traction, it could become harmful, but we'll see. So, I'm talking here, and if you're on TikTok and you're on History Talk, you already know about this. You already know about MOMLENNIAL and her assertion that Rome, the Roman Empire, did not exist. And Hoy vey. So, this woman, she was talking with someone about because another one of her absurd assertions is that Alexander the Great was a woman. And I've heard that before, and I was talking to my husband about the other day. He's heard it before too from a different source. So it's not like necessarily one of those things that's like, maybe it's right, but I don't know, and I don't have enough information, and I don't have access to the archaeological evidence required to uh, like confirm or deny it. But it's interesting, and it's interesting to talk about, and I like the discourse that comes from the whole Alexander as a woman thing. But anyway, she had that theory, and someone came back at her and basically play like was trying to combat her theory on that, and then this is her response to that. Oh, hold on, let me turn the volume way up because there was volume issues earlier. Okay, y'all let me know if it's too low.
Right. So you're telling me that you got an entire degree in classics and it never occurred to you that there isn't a single Roman document? It always blows my mind talking to people who have invested their lives in the study of ancient Rome because y'all don't seem to realize it didn't exist. It is a figment of the Spanish Inquisition's imagination. Zero primary documents. None. This feels like arguing with someone in like the year 3000 CE that is convinced that Disney World was the ruler of the North American continent. It's not real, dude. Did you not think it's weird that anytime we find in situ ancient Roman sites, the letters are all written in Greek? We have Babylonian, we have hieroglyphics. No Roman. It was bred in circuses. It's a circus, man.
So, I love what Val said. I prefer to call him Alexander the OK. Okay, so her theory is a couple things. In situ, when you're talking about history or archaeology, in situ means basically the artifact was found in its original location or as close to its original location as possible, right? Um, like best example I can come up with, and we'll talk about Pompeii here in a minute because she really hates the idea of Pompeii. In Pompeii, all of those artifacts were found in situ because that's where they were whenever, like that's the location that they were in, right? So there's that, and then also she says that every primary source we have on Rome didn't exist because all of it's written in Greek, or later she says that it's I'll show y'all, but basically she says that anything that we found that's in Latin, which she calls Roman, she doesn't call it Latin very often, she calls it Roman, but it's Latin, guys. And basically she says that anything that was found in Latin was added later. It is not ancient. And that's part of like her proof. It's, basically, Rome doesn't exist. the church made it up to question mark step for profit. I have no idea, because Rome literally invented Christianity, so I don't really understand her whole thing. I was gonna say I'm no historian, but I'm pretty sure Roman wasn't exactly. It's like it's Latin, and like that's her whole thing. Okay, so like she came out with the stupid Rome doesn't exist theory, and then people pushed back. And this is, I should say, this is not the first time that she's done this. She has had several theories over the past several years on different social media platforms that she would throw out there, have people argue, and then she gets more engagement. So I don't know if she's fake or not. I was going along with the Roman thing for a minute, and then I stopped counting money, and I was like, wait, you mean Latin? Yeah, exactly. Okay, so someone came back at her and was like, have you ever been to Pompeii? And Pompeii is in the region that was Rome, because like the Roman Empire, at the height of the Roman Empire, let me pull up a map. Like it was huge, it was massive. Let's find one that actually has country listed on it. There we go. Oh, BibleStudy.com. No. Nope. There we go. Geology in motion. That's better. So, like the Roman Empire, this is where Hadrian's Wall is, right here, because they couldn't get further past that because the Scots are fucking terrifying. But anyway, like this is the height of the Roman Empire. It was massive, and so it basically covered the like, obviously this whole thing, and Pompeii was in that. So someone came back at her and was like, "Have you ever heard of Pompeii?" This was her response to that. Oh, but she was super condescending. You know nothing, you sweet summer child. And she's just like, if you're trying to educate people on your craziness, can you, or your, sorry, that's a terrible word, your inaccuracies, you should, I don't know, maybe be polite.
You went to Pompeii, did you go on a tour and pay attention? Because Pompeii was rediscovered in the 1700s, and by the 1800s, it's where the 1% went to fucking party. We have not uncovered any more of Pompeii really since the original digging out. But we do know that they stole everything, they broke a bunch of shit, they filled the pottery with their own wine and then drank it. All of the writing we have found in Pompeii off of the main square is written in ancient Greek. That Latin lettering is Victorian graffiti. Hell, geologists have known for years that there's no distal tephra to even show that there was an explosion of Pompeii's volcano in 79 AD. It's in any geology distal tephra study that you can find.
Okay, so a distal tephra study. Hold on, I want to be super accurate here. Just want to be defined. Can you just define it for me, Google? Thank you. Because she mentions it a lot. She doesn't believe that Vesuvius erupted, but also that and I was able to find some sources to say that people did go to Pompeii like shortly after it was uncovered. People did go to Pompeii to like party it up and stuff, but like I'm pretty sure that I've seen many historians say that it wasn't like the graffiti, like the Latin words all over the place, and there's even like images of penises and stuff like that, and homosexual sex and stuff on the walls, which is really cool, and it kind of proves that in ancient times no one gave a fuck. But she's claiming all of that is Victorian graffiti, and none of that was there. And because you can't carve and date stone, it's hard to determine like when certain art, like monuments or buildings or whatever, were created. So quick little lesson about that is like how you carbon date a building or something. Usually what happens is like say you find a stone knife. Okay, you can't carbon date that stone knife, but if there is any organic material next to it, like, and you have to, for this to work, it has to be in situ. You have to find it at the same time and uncover it at the same time. So you find a stone knife, and then next to it, there's like a bone. You can carbon date that bone to get that sort of like the same general timeline of when that stone knife could have been used. So that's how archaeologists determine like the age of buildings and stuff like that, because you can't carbon date pottery, and you can't carbon date stone, and you can't carbon date metal. But that's how they sort of do that. Um, so anyway, a tephra is fragmental material produced by volcanic eruption, regardless of composition, fragment size, or whatever. She's saying that any distal tephra reports that you look up on Pompeii prove that Vesuvius did not erupt in 79 AD. It's like, we know it erupted. And nothing that I found corroborates what she said here. And I'm not here to debunk her, because like we all know the Roman Empire existed, but the problem with her theory is that she's right in that like Pompeii has sort of been suspect because early archaeologists, when they first found it, they did a terrible job when they were uncovering it. And then they there was a study that came out, I want to say it was like last year. There was this archaeologist who did a paper talking about how the early archaeologists who uncovered Pompeii, to keep the casts of the body, they did some use some unorthodox methods that wouldn't hold up to muster today, and you know, so like they did go in, and archaeology to some people, especially of areas where indigenous people have lived and stuff like that, a lot of people view archaeology as just like grave robbing. And she's right in that Pompeii, they stole a bunch of stuff. They did mess up a lot of stuff, but I don't agree with her assertion that it's Victorian graffiti all over the walls. The Roman words, especially. And I think it's funny that she thinks that the Latin words that were painted on the walls were Victorian, like Victorian graffiti, but not the Greek words written on the walls. It's interesting. Anyway, so her next one, someone, because she was talking about primary sources and how you can't copy a primary source and it still be considered a primary source, which is half true, half wrong. I won't get too much into that, but basically, this is her reason, because someone was like, why would the church make all this up? And she says this.
First of all, by definition, a copy of something is not a primary source. And secondly, because of rebranding. You have to remember the 6th to the 14th centuries CE in Europe were just a clusterfuck of disaster. There was a plague so bad that it bottlenecked the population to the point where we didn't even know that plague happened until we did archaeogenetic studies a couple of years ago. So when you are rebranding yourself from a circus to a monotheistic faith, you have to destroy all the evidence. And sometimes that includes people who remember and aren't okay with what you're doing. Spanish Inquisition.
Yeah, and that's what Val said. Well, the church makes stuff up all the time. They do. And that's why her theory is so plausible to a lot of people who are like, because her little theory here is picking up steam. And the church did make shit up all the fucking time. But why are they going to make stuff up about their own, like, because like they created Catholicism. The Romans did. Like, I think the first Nicene Council was in something like 325 BCE. And the first Nicene Council, for those who don't know, that was when they, Nicene, not Nicene. I don't know why I say it Nicene. Anyway, that was when they basically sat down, literally a bunch of dudes sat down and created Christianity. So anyway, yeah, it was 325 BCE. I don't say 80 or CE. So it's 325 in the Common Era. AD is Anno Domini. It's like, year of our Lord, who cares? I don't use those because I'm not a Christian. So, but yeah, so the church did make up a lot of stuff, and it has made a lot of stuff up. I mean, just look at how the church kind of steamrolled over Celtic and Norse religions to like, and to get the Celts on board, they took a lot of the gods, the Celtic gods, and turned them into saints. Like, the church just makes shit up. They love to just throw shit out there, make up stories, and And then it becomes history because they were the only ones who really knew how to write at the time. So that's why her theory is picking up steam, is because, you know, agreed, correlation does not equal causation. But this woman does not quite understand that concept. That is for sure. So let me see. Her next one was oh, okay. So I didn't want to debunk all of her stuff, but I feel like there's a lot of stuff that okay, so Vindolanda was a fort south of Hadrian's Wall in northern England. So Hadrian's Wall is like basically the furthest point that Rome got on the British Isles. They got a little bit further and then they built the secondary wall, but it's way tinier. Barely any of it still stands. Um, but they got as far as Hadrian's Wall and then they couldn't get further because the Highlanders were like kind of scary. And so like the Highlanders had this thing where they'd come out of the mountains and then they would attack and they would retreat to the mountains. And like the Romans of the time, they just didn't know. Like they couldn't make any ground. They couldn't gain ground. And then shit went haywire and then the Romans ended up having to go home anyway. But so Vindolanda is just south of Hadrian's Wall in northern England. And so a lot of this person, where is it? So this person is saying archaeologists are actively finding primary sources in Vindolanda, literally hundreds of tablets written in Latin found in situ, which means that they found a bunch of Latin tablets and Latin, like written Latin words at Vindolanda, proving that the Romans went that far. And like this person's point is, like, yeah, the Romans existed. You're saying that there is no primary source in Latin to prove that the Romans existed or had an empire, and I'm telling you you're wrong. And this is our response to that.
Normally, men have to pay to be degraded in public like this, but this is your third freebie. Do you mean tablets?
I'm sorry, that was funny. Normally, men have to pay to be degraded in public like this. This is your third freebie. That was clever.
Like this one? Hold on, let's get closer. Enhance. You cannot look at that and tell me it is Latin. I mean, you can, but I'd wonder if you need to see an optometrist. In fact, that looked like it had two different scripts on it, and the bottom right-hand corner was Greek, but what was the top left-hand corner? If you ask the classics major, they're going to say something like Roman cursive. Roman cursive looks oddly familiar, though. It's kind of like the Phoenician alphabet. Yeah, but hold on. There we go. If I flip it over, it looks a lot more obvious. But here, I'll make it even easier. There we go. Yeah. That's the Phoenician script, dude. Not to mention, not a single one of these has been submitted for dendrochronology, so we have no idea how old the wood is.
So another reason her conspiracy theory is picking up ground is like she uses big words and complicated ideas like distal tephra studies, dendrochronology, stuff like that, where people are not necessarily going to know how to look up that information. And so they're going to take it on faith that she knows what she's talking about. And like we see this in MLM world all the time too. Like the health nut weirdos, they always use these big, fancy, huge terms to make it seem like they know what they're talking about, and it gets people to go, you know what? I don't know what that is. They must be an expert. That's the same thing that she's doing here, but she's wrong. I think actually on that particular tablet that she showed, she might actually be right, but like that's not the only tablet that they have uncovered there. So just because one language existed there doesn't mean that they also haven't found Latin tablets there. But, you know, what do we know? We can always just Google it. And then, okay, so this person, she's responding to a comment where someone was saying that they love the slander, but the only thing that doesn't work for me is the Latin influence on languages that's hard to plant. They're referring to the fact that English, Spanish, Romanian is also like these are Romance languages and they have their basis in Latin. And this is her response. And every time someone brings up something like this, she twists the facts, makes it more complicated than it actually is, and then acts like her audience is the idiot for not knowing this. It's mind-boggling.
The question is, if Roman capital letters, which is the Latin alphabet, didn't come into existence until the 1500s, where did Romance languages come from? And it's a great question, and it requires some lateral thinking. It helps to think about the Tower of Babel just as a metaphor to help. For almost 1,000 years, Europe was being ravaged by plague after war after famine after plague. The population got down to a very small bottleneck. So, who was living the longest and continuously? The temples, the church. So, outside the temple walls, you have like a Lord of the Flies situation going on with orphans trying to piece shit together on their own. Now, remember, ancient religion was the economy. The church needs employees, they need workers. But if your workers can all communicate with each other, they can realize they're being treated like shit and rise up. So you break apart their languages so they can't talk to each other. Church controlled all.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about that one because like the church did do shit like that, but I don't think that this buttresses her point that all it does is really buttress the point that the church has made shit up. It does not in any way prove that Latin did not exist and that Latin was created in the Victorian era, especially since it goes against what her previous thing was about it being during like 6 to 14 BCE. That is just, she is a treat. So, oh, I don't know why it changed. Oh, this is where she's going to prove that a Latin tablet that was discovered isn't actually written in Latin. But again, she calls it Roman. And also she doesn't, like, she proves her own self wrong because she shows the Greek alphabet and then she goes back to the tablet and shows that it's not, like, it's all in Latin words, because like back then Latin words were all written in all caps. Every single one of them, like, there were no lowercase letters. It was all in all caps. I love my neighbor. He is so loud with his little motorbike. Mommy says, yes, that doesn't seem like she debunked it at all. Yeah, it's like, what were you debunking? It's like you didn't even hit on the major point at all. But okay. All right. So here she is trying to pretend that this is not written in Latin.
So I appreciate that y'all keep proving me right, but I don't think that's your intention. Yeah, let's look at it. Here's the papyrus from the link you sent. Enhance. Dude, that's Greek. Are y'all lying? Just like all of you? It's Greek. All of you?
Okay, so like this guy says, this is clearly Latin. Roman isn't a script. Also, there's no F in Greek. You can see F. You can see F a couple times throughout here. And then like E, she's saying this literally says Caesar. Caesar. Like, that's an A. And she's trying to pretend that this isn't Latin. Yeah, and Maxima, Roman. She's just... Anyway, now she's going to show the Greek alphabet and prove herself wrong.
It's Greek, not Roman. Greek. It was found in the 1970s, and they've never forensically tested it. If you won't test your shit with multispectral imaging and other forensic methods, it's garbage.
Yeah, like, all she did is prove herself wrong there. I actually don't know what that document was supposed to be, but now that I've read that it's talking about Caesar, I kind of want to know more about what it was saying. And then here, she's talking about... Oh, I don't remember. Someone was basically like, there's a whole bunch of stuff that has multiple languages on it, and like one of them is in Latin. Because people got hung up on the fact that she said Latin doesn't exist, and then Latin, every ancient Roman, quote unquote, bit of evidence that we have is all written in Greek. And so, like, you know, I won't show that one because I actually think I opened that one by accident. Oh, yeah. And here's someone asking about Hadrian's Wall, because that is a huge piece of evidence that the Roman Empire existed and got as far as it did. It's like huge piece of evidence, but she's going to tell us that it's not really evidence at all. We should disbelieve everything we've seen. how she's talking right now, I think she'd be better off leaning towards the crowd who believe there's a segment of time missing from the history books. No joke. Like, she'd fit right in. And, you know, I'm sure there's several segments of time that's missing from the history books. Just statistically.
All right, this one has been asked a lot. Hadrian's Wall cannot be proven to be of Roman construction. Let's get into it. The first thing that you need to know is that you cannot carbon date stone, only organic material. With that in mind, let's take a look at some of those famous inscriptions. The Great North Museum inscription is the most well known, and it was found in the 1700s. And if you ask a Roman expert, this is what they'll say it says. Again, I question the field's need for an optometrist. That's a G.
That is not a G. But we'll move on.
Occam's razor would be it's 1700s nonsense. What else we got?
Oh, and this is Chester's Aqueduct, I think, is on Hadrian's Wall, but I don't remember. My husband is the Roman guy. I'm not the Roman person.
Well, there's the Chester's Aqueduct inscription, which is a little sus. Do you see it? Here, I'll help.
Wait.
Do you see it?
She's just inventing shit. She's just scribbling over it. And then, like, phew, look at this, guys. Proof of my theory. Because I scribbled over a thing.
Here, I'll help. I'm going to link research to Babel in the comments, because it's a road.
Oh, for Pete's sake. Oh, okay. Let me look at... Amanda says her misunderstanding of those Latin letters reminds me of people who get cool tattoos of words or phrases using Greek letters that look like Latin letters. I know. Or like they'll get something in Japanese, or they think it's like, and they think it means something really cool, like water or strength, and really it means your twat face or something. That stuff always makes me laugh. I'm trying to think of the name for the supposed group that reigned during that time. Yeah, if you can remember it, let me know, because I want to look into that more. She definitely fits in with the crowd of people who believe such things. Oh, and this is her talking about how they, vandalized Pompeii, and she cited a study done by an archaeologist who basically was like, wow, they did a really shitty job when they first uncovered Pompeii. But when those first archaeologists were first starting on that work, they didn't know as much as we know now. So it is, Mombi asks, what's her handle? I'm on mobile. It is MOMLENNIAL. So MOMLLENNIAL _. And her name when she pops up, it's Donna D2. So yeah, so basically here she's just talking about how they vandalized Pompeii, and they did. They did a pretty bad job. But because so many people asked a lot of questions, she did this 3-minute TikTok about Rome. How real was it? But the entire time, and I'm going to link it in the thing. I don't want to play the whole 3-minute thing because it basically doesn't say anything. It literally doesn't prove anything that she is trying to assert. I don't even know why she made this video, but because it doesn't talk about anybody's concerns or anything. So I found this awesome, and I'm going to link her down below too. Her name is Lady of the Library here on YouTube. She, I watched her videos sometimes in the past, but I didn't know that she debunked all of MOMLENNIAL's garbage up to a certain point, because she posted this in December, and MOMLENNIAL is still going. But she's really awesome, and I don't want to play her whole video. I'm going to link it below. If y'all are interested in seeing her be debunked, I suggest you watch this video. I do want to play just a small clip of her being like, yeah, she's wrong.
Well, not everything. They got the Greek part of the inscription correct, but aside from that, no, I don't know what the intentions are, but I thought it'd be worth making a video on because I know at least a bit more than that person. I may not be an expert, but I know a little bit more than that person. But thank you.
She is a classicist, and for y'all who don't know, a classicist is someone who studies like the classics, which is a very specific set of history and art and all sorts. Oh, that's it. I'm becoming a conspiracy theorist for clout because it's too easy. It really is. And like she got so many views and so many viewers, and I couldn't find it. I wanted to show y'all, but there was this lady who broke down all of MOMLENNIAL's garbage and basically was like, here's what she's done in the past with her wild conspiracy theories, and here's how she's doing that again, only on a different platform to raise more like awareness. But she creates stuff out of thin air just to get views. And like no one can tell whether or not she actually believes what she's saying or if she's just doing it just for the clout. And either way it's kind of dangerous in my opinion. Something that gives MOMLENNIAL a lot of credibility is that she does talk about things that are real. She talks about things that matter, and I believe she's Jewish. Yeah, she's Jewish. And she talks a lot about Jewish history and its relation to Christianity. And other Jewish creators out there have said that she's right. Like she is right about certain stuff. So people think that because she's right about those things, she's probably right about like the whole Rome did never existed thing. So we're watching in real time this conspiracy go from cockamamie nonsense on a TikTok video to I'm seeing other people parrot this whole theory as if it's actually real. And I think that this is how Flat Earth started. I think this is how the whole sovereign citizen thing started. Some asshole was trying to do something for personal gain, and then other people came on and were like, yeah, that makes sense. They make a lot of sense because people will believe a person who positions himself as an expert. And I hate that. I hate that. So that's all I had for y'all tonight, really. There were 2 more theories I wanted to discuss, but I wanted to do some more in-depth research before I got into all that. They were about Roswell, which, if you didn't know, is where I live. Maybe I'll do a whole walkthrough of the UFO museum or something in another video. The other one I wanted to talk about was the whole idea that the senior citizens of Nazi Germany were whisked away to Antarctica at the end of World War II, where an enclave of Germans live to this day, supposedly. I don't know, that's a really weird conspiracy theory, and it's hard for me to find the source material on it. Like, I can find a whole bunch of people talking about it. I can't find the source for it. And I kind of want to dig a little deeper into the whole Rome isn't real thing. So if y'all want to see a longer video on that, that's more well researched, let me know. And let me check the comments. Val would make an excellent conspiracy cloudist. You should do it. Although you know who would be like, see, she's just a liar. Cloudspiracy. It's gonna be big. I like that. That's funny. Yes, please discuss UFO stuff. I don't know if any of the U stuff is credible, but I do believe there are some kinds of. Yeah, I think that people who don't believe in aliens existing at all ever are weird because, like, statistically, we can't be alone, right? And even if it's not statistically possible that is there anything else out there, it's just too depressing to think of us being alone in the universe. It gives me anxiety. So, yeah, I definitely believe that there are aliens and stuff out there. I don't necessarily believe that we have been visited by aliens. UFOs just mean unidentified flying objects, and we have had a lot of those, especially in recent years. There's a whole bunch of videos from pilots and stuff of unidentified flying objects near them when they're in their planes and stuff. And some of them have been debunked as just like experimental craft from other countries, but a couple of them no one has any answer for, and I think that's really cool. I love it. It goes back to the flat earth thing. They returned to Agatha. Oh, man. Oh, that's all so much fun. But anyway, I hope I've been able to enlighten or entertain y'all, at least, on various conspiracy theories we discussed. I do want to know, though, if you had to pick, what is your favorite conspiracy theory? Because, like, right now, my favorite conspiracy theory is definitely the Roman Empire never existed. It's just too much fun. I'm going to go ahead and link her thing, too. Come on now. There we go. Put that in there. And then I'll put that in the description too. I'll have all of these linked. All the things that I showed, I'll have them all linked in the description. I'll probably get that done in the next hour, but I accidentally slept all day, so I have tons of time tonight. Anywho, thanks for watching, y'all. I know there's a delay. I was going to wait and see if anyone wanted to tell me their favorite conspiracy theories. Yeah, so it's definitely it's so good. It's just perfect. And if y'all are interested in history or anything at all, or especially the classics, definitely go give Lady of the Liberty a watch because she's the Roman. Yeah. It's because right now it's in the fun, let's laugh at her for being silly stage. So it's like, it's a guilt-free kind of haha, you know. And then I'll link y'all this in case you want to look at it before I get a chance to put up the links. Favorite ones are on the RH negative people. Ooh, I don't know that I've heard of that. What are some of the conspiracy theories around RH negative people? Now I gotta know. My mom is RH negative. She had to take like medicine throughout both of her pregnancies because both me and my brother are positive, RH positive. So, let's see. Oh, okay. None of my readers. Wait a minute. There sure is some netherworld of dodgy disinformation when you inadvertently spelunged into. Oh wait, my blood type is A negative. I've heard this can cause pregnancy issues, so I googled RH negative blood and ran across a bunch of weirdo sites with theories about the origin of negative blood types in some online communities with some seriously racist undertones. Oh. Oh dear. Children of Nephilim? Others. Oh, and it ties into the reptilian stuff too. That makes sense. Wow. Oops. Didn't mean to do that. I'm gonna have to look more into that because that is interesting. That they're, yeah, that makes. Or they make a difference. The whole indigo chat. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. People always want to look for some weird thing to explain why there's some sort of difference because I think RH negative is super rare. Yeah, 16% of the population, world's population, according to Medical News Today, which, you know. Oh, wow. I have one of the most common blood types. I'm A positive, so I've never looked into it further than just wanting to make sure that I wasn't going to have my mom's problem when I had kids, but any hoozles, I better hop off here, but thanks for watching, y'all, and I hope y'all have a good rest of your night.